there's never a moment when you're not nervous in this industry. Right?
Was he like that? Like you even at his peak, he was.
He covered it all up. Yeah, he's a super cool dude, man. Come on,
Yeah.
You're the coolest, man.
Yeah,
and funny.
How is that? I mean, what is that like? How were you guys as kids? Like before everything happened, what was the brother relationship like? The family relationship?
Well,
subscribe to the podcast, KFC Radio on YouTube.
Bang.
How's the framing over there?
It's not too bad. Where are you at right now?
L.A.
Is that home for you?
Oh man, I got so many goddamn homes.
Okay, all right.
Home is where the heart is, and the heart's not here anymore. How's that?
I hear that.
I'm done with LA. I did 35 years.
I know, man. I mean, that place seems hard to handle 35 minutes, let alone
particularly 35 years ago. I feel like maybe it's ever changing and it's always really hard. But I feel like when I think of Hollywood 35 years ago, it's like that's some real grind shit.
No, I gotta say, 35 years ago, I was about last night opened. I was hot. I was making movies. I was going to premieres. I was dining. I was, dating. I had money in my pocket. I had per diem. I had a car.
All right. Never mind. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say,
awesome.
Ask someone, it's like when you're older, do you want to be a young kid in Hollywood or an old man in Hollywood? I think I know the answer.
I got to tell you, now it's like, since the industry's changed, it's you don't even have to be here,
Right.
Now, I always bring up with people who kind of were in the older Hollywood, an article I read in Hollywood Reporter maybe or Variety, I forget exactly what publication it was, but it was about how social media changed Hollywood and how...
So wait, you know when it started? It started with digital music. It started with that, and it started with the digital. Once the DVDs and the VHSs went out, it just changed everything. It changed financing, foreign money. It just changed everything.
But then
COVID really changed it because now everything's on Zoom.
Right.
I mean, I have this press tour, and I usually used to go to Chicago, New York, Dallas. Do interviews, go from one building to another. Now it's all on Zoom, and it's like you can be in a farm in Oregon and run your business. The only time you have to leave is when you actually shoot a movie, which I did.
Now, but that article was specifically talking about how the social media changed nightlife, and if social media had been around in your heyday when we were at premieres, when we got per diem, we got some money in the pocket. Do you think that would have altered how you went out? Do you think that would have prevented you from going out, maybe?
Like the privacy aspect of whatever your behavior is might be out there on the internet the next day.
Well, I'm a Midwest kid, so I'm all right. My behavior was...
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good point, though.
I was like a Midwest kid. I was like that. That Eagles song, boy from the Midwest, the Hollywood Hills, the Hollywood Night.
You just crushing Bud Lights, popping the shirt off,
right? I mean,
no, not at all. It was different. It was like, this is a big city. This is like Hollywood Hills and Hollywood Nights and all these things going on. And I was sitting on the floor at the Forum watching, Magic Johnson, and it was great. It was fun.
So did it sound like it sounds like it didn't go to like your head. You were never a guy like, I made it, I'm a Hollywood star, and I'm gonna run the club and I own these guys. You were just like happy to be there?
No. That's not me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like I've always known that about you.
I'm on a farm.
Yeah. It seems
I like being on the ground. I like growing things. I like being by the river. I like real connection and conversation. I'm like,
Yeah, even just being a fan of yours and seeing your work, I feel like I could tell that you didn't become like a Hollywood douchebag. Even without knowing it, I was like, not Jen, couldn't be.
Now, I have to say that, nerves was something I had to wrestle with. You get really nervous when a movie comes out or when a show comes out, whether it's going to be good or not. Now, I might not have been pleasant to be around when I was nervous. And it's like, oh, I'm just nervous. Just stay away from me right now.
I mean, even at the top of your game, were you were still nervous?
Well, always, I mean, I think about my brother John a lot, and he was at the top of the game. I mean, he had the #1 album, #1 TV show, and #1 movie in 1 year.
Jesus Christ.
1 year, right? Album, Blues Brothers album was platinum. I mean, he was just the biggest star. And when you get to that point, you get nervous about this part coming down the hill.
Right.
So there's never a moment when you're not nervous in this industry. Right?
Was he like that? Like you even at his peak, he was.
He covered it all up. Yeah, he's a super cool dude, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You're the coolest, man.
Yeah.
And funny.
How is that? I mean, what is that like? How were you guys as kids? Like before everything happened, what was the brother relationship like? The family relationship?
Well, he was 5.5 years older than me, and my younger brother's 5.5 years younger than me. They were born on the same day, by the way, January 24th.
Wow.
So you think about it. He's a senior in high school, and I'm in 8th grade. We ain't hanging out, brother.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want you around. Yeah.
Hey, John, can I go out with you and the senior football players?
Yeah.
I kid.
Yeah.
So when we got older, we got, closer. When I became a little more mature,
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. It was kind of like an only child, He was older. My younger brother was younger. There was nobody to relate to.
Was it, were you both, like, did you get into the industry, like, same time, trying to make it, like, were you guys both going after this lifestyle, or?
Well, it's interesting. Again, he left high school, okay, and then I went into high school. And the theater teacher that, guided John, it was his mentor, it was a great guy. He left the same year John left. So when I got into this high school, was a new theater teacher. He didn't know anything about John. And I was in a speech class, and I didn't write a speech. So I went up and improvised as a hippie. I had this character, and I was yelling at everybody for not being at the demonstration, man. And I got an F on the speech. But he was the theater director, and he asked me to audition for his play that night.
Oh, wow.
And I got the lead role, and that was how it started for me. But what was great was John, there's an old saying, when you drink the water, remember the men and women who dug the well. Mm-hmm. Well, John dug the well for me. Mm-hmm. He showed me Second City, Saturday Night Live. He showed me that there's another way for people in my family to go, opposed to going with my dad, who was a restaurant guy. If my dad didn't lose his restaurant, I'd be serving lunch today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he dug the well for me and was a model for me. And so I followed. But I found it independently, right, with that director. But then I kind of followed, I went to the Second City and saw him at 16, and I went, oh, my God, John, I want to be here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's almost the best way to do it, right? Because it's like you had someone kind of blaze the path for you, but it wasn't like you were just jumping on coattails or doing it because he was doing it. You found your own way and wanted to do it yourself. It just had, a couple doors maybe open or a little bit easier, right?
When I graduated college, I went right to Second City at 22, right? And I auditioned, and I got in, and I called him, and I said, I got in Second City. He's like, I thought you were more of the drama guy. I thought you'd be more like a Goodman Theater drama guy. You sure you want to do comedy? I said, John, I'm doing comedy too.
This is my pool. I feel like that, dude. If my brother started a podcast, I'd probably have him killed.
I was gonna say, come on, figure out your own thing, dude. Can't be two of us in here. That's funny. There could be two Belushis.
I am just an actor.
Yeah.
That's all I am. John was a legend, man. I mean, there's no touching that. I'm just a fan. I was just a fan. That's why when when I got offered Saturday Night Live, they were going, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know, your brother did it." And I said, "Wait a minute. What are you talking about?" I went to Second City. The Second City, our next step is something like Saturday Night Live. These guys, again, blaze the road for improvisers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just an actor. I'm just a fan. Anybody would want to be on Saturday Night Live. I'm not going to say no.
No,
because
hell no.
That's
Get
crazy.
the fuck out of here. That's nuts.
Guys, they're going to beat you up. And I went, let them, man.
Who cares?
This is a fucking great thing, man.
That would be
And they
nuts.
were gentle. The audience, everybody was so nice to me when I started Saturday Night Live. So it was cool, man. I've had a cool career.
Yeah, well, and I love this kind of, second act, if you will, of in the world of cannabis as like a businessman, and now turning that into a TV show, and it's a great wave to hop on, man. I mean, you were at the very, very forefront of it. Was that something like you?
Oh, I've been doing it for about 6 years.
Yeah.
I know a lot about cannabis, all the way from seed to patient. And I thought this TV show, Growing Belushi, was not only about me growing cannabis, but about me growing as a man. Because this medicine, this plant, when you hang on to the spirituality that this has, it takes you to where you're supposed to be. I've grown so much in compassion and empathy and in knowledge from being around this plant and growing it. And so to me, it was a natural thing to film, because there are so many people that don't understand what this is. In my show, there's no stoners.
Mm-hmm.
It really is how you grow it, when you plant it. The soil's got to be 64 degrees temperature in order for the micronutrients to absorb into the roots better. You got to flush it 2 weeks out so the acid, when you smoke, is white. You don't want it a hard taste. The water's got to be between 6.2, 6.7 pH, and we take it right from the river. It's like I'm feeding my plants like Arrowhead water. It's so beautiful grown, the terpene values, which are really great in Northern California and especially Oregon. Oregon and Northern California in the future is going to be the Napa Valley for cannabis when the borders drop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why some of the states don't want it federally legalized, by the way. They know that we're going to eat up the market, and they're going, no, we like the tax dollars that we're getting from our growth.
Yeah. That makes sense. I get that.
Yeah.
Now,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why isn't it federally legalized? Because, the states don't want to give up their tax money to Oregon.
Yeah. You're not buying Idaho weed. You're not buying fucking Tennessee weed.
By the way, you'll never buy weed in Idaho. That state.
What are like the good? What are the good states? Like, are there
Northern California?
Yeah.
Northern California and Southern Oregon are the best outdoor and indoor grows. Now, there are some fine indoor cultivations in Illinois. Verano makes really, really fine cannabis in Illinois. And there are cultivations that I've been meeting that interior grows, by the way, in warehouses that have some really great science that are growing great weed. But I grow with a greenhouse because I believe that the sun is what's making the difference in our cannabis. Mm-hmm. And you need Father Sun. And so I use kind of indoor philosophies. We control the environment because we hate the mold and the aphids. And so we control the environment, but we open up for the sun. So it's kind of an in-between an outdoor grow, indoor growth. I think it's the best of both worlds.
Now you're. By
the way, the second season is all about that greenhouse. I'm building 2 new Grow Tech greenhouses. We're using fauche lights, new LED lights that give 30% more penetration. We're using advanced nutrients that are making my plants so green and fluffy. We got a control, mechanism, a brain that has sensors. A total grow control has this new system that you can just control. I mean, this second season is more about that technical aspect, and then the emotional aspect and the expansion of the Belushi Blues Brothers brand nationally. And it's very funny. I got Guy Fieri coming. We cook. Medina Aykroyd's in it, and we got music. It's just a good season. I'm really excited about it. Well, Discovery has got, I got to tell you, it's really cool because they took a risk putting cannabis on their network,
right?
Because of the FCC and all that stuff. So I love Discovery, and I love Michael Rapino at Live Nation, who financed the first season. Live Nation's super cool.
Are you surprised, or have you been surprised by kind of the amount of like you mentioned, Guy? I saw a guy coming on talking about growing it in his fucking closet in college. Are you surprised by like the amount of celebrities who have now become not that Guy was ever buttoned up, but there are other celebrities who were kind of more the buttoned up, front facing person who is now embracing weed culture? I feel like everyone is now.
Well,
like,
I'm not, because listen, we all know somebody who's struggling. Okay, I don't know what your dad, your mom, one may have dementia, one may have heart problems, one may have sleep problems. Your friends have PTSD. Someone just got divorced, has great anxiety. People have pain. People I know cancer. For chemotherapy to give them appetite. In hospice, like I had a father-in-law, stepfather-in-law who was dying. They put him on morphine at the end, and he was so out of it he couldn't even recognize his family. I gave him a candy bar of cannabis that helped him with his pain, and he was lucid enough to be with his family. I mean, for hospice, it's great. So whether celebrities are coming on or not, everybody, and the most conservative of people, are going, yeah, I've seen this cannabis work for someone I know. I sat at a table, guys, with the most conservative people, dinner table at their home. Fox News is blowing 24 hours a day, very loud. Table with three couples there, like 79 to 84. And I'm like so nervous they're going to bring up cannabis. The mother-in-law is going to bring up cannabis. She brings it up. They turned and went, you know what? My hand really hurts. I hear this is supposed to be really good for arthritis. Yeah. You know what? I got a shoulder injury from being an athlete. Do you think it'll be like one woman, an older woman goes, I want the stuff that makes you feel good. All of a sudden, I only run into people who are curious. Mm-hmm. Because they know somebody who's struggling that has helped.
Well, I think we learned so much about it, right? Like, we thought it was a gateway drug. Yeah, we thought it was a gateway drug. We thought it could lead to more problems. Then we learned also about how
it's a gateway to healing.
Right. And then you learn about the negative effects of other drugs. You learn about how much the pharmaceuticals were fucking with opiates and how bad that is, and this is an alternative to that. So you learn about the good of weed and the bad of other drugs. So even the most conservative people, if they are educated by it, it's not like an opinion anymore. It's a fact at this point.
That's what I mean. Think about it. 37 states haven't legalized recreationally or medically. I mean,
it's crazy. Come on. It's just like, let's go. Let's do it federally. Let's do it all the way.
Yeah, what this show does is it doesn't necessarily celebrate it, but for those 6 people, I am showing them literally how to buy in a dispensary. People don't want to go into a dispensary; they're nervous.
I get nervous.
I show a dispensary.
You get nervous?
Hell, I actually don't think I've ever. I'm from Massachusetts. I actually don't think I've ever bought from a dispensary.
I haven't either, but I don't think I'd be nervous.
I've sat in the parking lot while someone went in.
Really?
Yeah, like I've sat in the parking lot while
Apple store. They're like. The bud tenders are like pharmacists.
Well, it was. I would have gone in, but it was COVID, and it was like one person at a time.
Because I can understand one person being overwhelmed. Because you know what I will say, and I hope that the show kind of does this as well. Cannabis is a culture where the people who really smoke a lot and know a lot about it can be someone like yourself who's like inviting and welcoming to like learn about it and all that, or it can be like if I use the wrong term or I say something wrong, it's like, oh, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. It's like, yeah, man, I don't know. I just want to get a little high, and I don't know all the right terminology and the right this and the right that, and people will jump down your throat for it.
Nah, well, first of all, people in cannabis or people who use cannabis as medicine are gentle people. It's a gentle medicine. I mean, I was a bouncer in Chicago. I never broke up a fight between two potheads.
Never.
They're more. Look, okay, here's the mission statement. The wellness of cannabis includes helping with Alzheimer's, seizures, back pain, PTSD, sleeplessness, cancer, but it also enhances the taste of food, the sound of music, the touch of your lover's skin. But it also makes you feel good, which you should never feel guilty about feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
So it also brings a lightness to you. Light. White light is what? It's good. There's a gentleness. There's more compassion. There's more empathy. This is all in the wellness of cannabis.
How did this come?
Jim,
how did you get into this?
Jim, I read before this that you don't smoke that much. And are you sure?
You seem like you're high right now the way you're talking. Like, how do you go from like Hollywood and acting and even like you said, Midwest kid? I would imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would imagine you don't grow up thinking about the healing powers of the white light. You're just a regular guy. You're in the Midwest. You're drinking beers, watching football. How do you go from that to like? Is it because you? Is it a business decision? Is it a philosophical decision? Like what made you go to this?
It was by accident. It was the plans. It was a business thing. As I got a farm, I'm not going to grow hay.
Yeah.
Horses are a pain in the ass. Cattle, they're big.
I've seen Yellowstone. That looks tough.
Yeah, I can't do horses.
What? No, it ain't yellow. I did a promo. It ain't Yellowstone and it ain't Bluestone, but it's some kind of stuff. I'm cowboying with cannabis. I'm the cannabis cowboy.
There you go.
So it started as business, right? It started like, oh, this is a new agriculture in Oregon. Let's grow some plants.
Mm-hmm.
But I met a man at a dispensary because I was doing a personal, appearances. I was standing in line, and he stared at me in long, stringy hair, thin, blue eyes, little beard. Oh, I see him so clearly. He stared at me, and I got a kind of a chill from him. I said, man, you all right? And he said, I was a medic in Iraq, and I saw things that happen to the human body that nobody should ever see in their life. He said, I have what they call, and I don't know what it means, triple PTSD. He goes, I can't sleep. I can't talk to my kids. I can't talk to my wife. The veterans gave me a bottle of Oxycontin, 600 pills in it, this big. And so I went to cannabis instead. And your Black Diamond strain allows me to talk to my family and sleep. And he hugged me. And he had like little tears in his eyes, welled up. And he hugged me. And I went, oh, man. I said, I didn't make this. He goes, no, but you're a steward. And that day when I was in the car with my cousin Chris driving to the next place, I went, shit, man, this is more than a business, man. This is changing people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the turn on the dime for me to like, let's go to it. And then sure enough, there were veterans at every dispensary. One in the wheelchair who has spasms in his legs because he can't feel them. He goes, this weed stops his spasms and relieves some pain. He takes a hit every day, every morning. So you said me as a smoker, well, where's my ailment? I have anxiety like everybody. I have to get along with my partner, my wife. That brings me, one hit kind of, all of a sudden everything she says is beautiful. And sleep. Of course, everybody wrestles with sleep. I take 2.5 milligrams of this Bang chocolate, which I'm doing a collaboration with because I like them so much. And that gets me into my sleep. So I use it as a medicine to chill me a little bit when I'm feeling too much. So I'm not a pothead smoker, but there's a lot of people that have so much pain and anxiety that they do smoke all day. And by the way, they talk normally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, it's not like the stereotypical thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are blowing dabs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Do you I remember seeing a post on social media. I don't know if it was a tweet or an Instagram post, but I guess it was a little while ago now. And it said something like, I think it was you saying like Jim Belushi's got the best gas out there. And it was the first time I knew that you got into weed. And I just thought I'm like, what? Jim Belushi? Like, I used to watch According to Jim. That we're talking about that Jim Belushi. Like, do you get that a lot? Are people surprised that you are becoming like one of the major faces of weed?
You know that tweet was trending.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that was what? Yeah, I remember reading that. Like, Jim Belushi's got the gas. What?
Like, my son was like, "Dad, you're trending on Twitter."
Did you write that, or was that like a social media team?
No, me and my nephew is a social media guy.
Okay.
We kind of talk what we do and have fun, and
Yeah,
it's fun,
it's
Now,
funny.
The Oregon was in the news, I think, last year because they, and I don't know the legality of what, but the tweets themselves said that Oregon has legalized everything. XXXXX. Do you have any plans to expand into like mushrooms?
Well, they haven't legalized everything, but what they have done is they realized the simplicity of arresting that junkie on the street.
Right.
It's not doing shit for that guy.
Right. But that wasn't mushrooms legalized?
What he's getting at is he really likes mushrooms and he wants mushrooms.
I like mushrooms. I'm a
That's what he's
mushrooms
getting
guy.
at.
I want to get some Belushi mushrooms.
I'm on the cover of the new Psychedelica, the first issue.
Yeah.
About the ayahuasca that I did, the iboga, the peyote, and it's really getting hot right now with mescaline as a microdosing for PTSD, depression. It's really moving heavy into that world, and Oregon, Denver, Oakland have passed laws where they're just not going to arrest you for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's not.
They'll arrest you for selling it.
Right. That's it.
So where you get it, whatever. I don't know, how they do that, but there, I would like to be really legalized because why I like cannabis being legalized is because once you legalize it, then all of a sudden the state comes in and goes, "What's in it? You got to test this shit." Consumers can't take stuff that's got pesticides in it that are going to be harmful. So all of a sudden you have testing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's in it. You know you get it illegally, you just don't know what's in it. Nowadays, you don't know there's fentanyl and shit,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I love the regulation for that fact. And in the show, we talk about that. We show how it's tested, why it's tested, and what it's being tested. I want people to have confidence in legal cannabis. But again, the problem is, there's a girl I know is 37 years old and smoking since she was 18 and in Chicago. And it's like, she gets her pot from her dealer. I go into a dispensary. She goes, I'm scared. What do you mean you're scared?
Yeah.
You're an
I'm used to the drug deals in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Why change
I
now?
want to do it in a back alley with a brown bag. Yeah.
You know that there's no paraquat in it. You know there's no bad pesticides in that. You might pay a little bit more, but it's clean.
Yeah.
It's real. You know what you're getting. You know the THC values. You know the terpene values, the CBD values, the stuff you get on the street. You don't know what you.
What do you think of Delta 8? I know that's been a big thing this year. I feel like the Delta 8 THC. Do you do anything with that?
Well, that is THC, the Delta 8. I mean, it's just, it's, I mean, when you do the testing, there's Delta 8, There's different THC cannabinoids, and Delta 8 is one of that can comprise of the higher psychic, brain movement,
Right. Psychoactive or whatever. Yeah.
But also with age, that Delta 8 turns into another kind of THC. So, pot that's 6 to 8 months older, that Delta 8 kind of, disintegrates into a different THC that'll make you a little more tired, that doesn't have that kind of energy. So you want to look at the harvest dates when you buy your cannabis.
Isn't it wild how like the guy who like you'd kind of want out of your college dorm room, we get it, has turned into like just a passionate businessman now?
It's such a business now. It's crazy. The stoner guy. Yeah. I mean, the people who got in. I know you said it's no longer a business decision, but you're probably rich as shit now, huh? You get in on this stuff at the right time, you're gonna be big rich, Jim.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Okay, here's the truth. I had my best year in cannabis last year. You know how much I made?
How much?
I broke even.
No.
Come on.
I'm so happy that I broke. The only way you make money in cannabis is if you go public and there's money coming. But
won't you be set up to do some of that stuff? Or is that considered selling out? You don't want to go down that path.
If it goes legal and federal, that's when Budweiser and Coca-Cola are going to come in and buy up brands.
Yeah.
And available for that.
Yeah, and that's what so once that happens, I know Seth Rogen is getting into it big, and Nick Lachey has that in Ohio. So there's a few names that we know of, but I feel like you'll be one of the guys who cashes in big if that all happens.
Well, I already got my comedy bucks.
Yeah, you're just doing it for fun, right?
I feel like Coppola. He started a winery and he had to just keep putting money in because it was a bastard. That's where I am right now.
Well, I'm sure all the people out there, all the veterans and everyone who needs it and is getting it appreciates you doing it. And we appreciate the time today. So everyone go check out season 2. It's out now?
It's out mid-January.
Discovery and Discovery Plus, January 19th. Wednesday night, 10 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Boy, man, I hope we get to talk again soon.
I would love that.
I hope so as well.
Have a good one, brother.
Later, Jim.
We're creeping up on 100,000 subscribers. It's all I've ever wanted for the last decade is to get to 6 figures. So just fucking
subscribe.
Do it. I'm getting so sick of being the amount. I see all these other people getting 100,000 subscribers and they're getting their plaques and they're not even close to the level of KFC Radio. They're not Barstool people. They're just they just get 100,000 people somehow and we can't. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for you. So click the fucking button. And even if you don't use YouTube, you just have a Gmail account. You just sign in and fucking click subscribe.